25 years of marriage came crashing down the day I opened her hidden journals. What my wife had written about her son made me realize I'd been sharing a bed with a stranger. Some secrets don't just break trust. They shatter everything you thought was real about the person you loved. My name's Derek Whitmore. I'm 48, and until half a year ago, I thought I had life under control. I worked as an engineering manager at Precision Components, a manufacturing plant outside Cleveland. Solid job, good salary, benefits that kept us comfortable. My wife, Grace, owned a small yoga studio downtown. We had 3 kids, Ethan, 24, in marketing, Claire, 16, fiery and unpredictable, and Liam, 11, our youngest, on the autism spectrum, who depends on structure more than most. From the outside, we looked like the perfect family. Nice house, 2 cars, yearly vacations. But somewhere along the way, Grace began to change. She said she felt stuck, unseen. I chalked it up to midlife restlessness. Everyone hits that stage. Then came the tennis lessons. Last spring, Grace joined Riverside Tennis Club and started private sessions with Cal Maddox, 32, former college player, all charm and confidence. She'd come home flushed, energized, raving about her backhand. I was glad she'd found something she enjoyed. I even encouraged it. That's what haunts me now. I handed her the reason. By summer, lessons were up to 5 times a week. Grace bought pricey rackets, new clothes, lost weight. When I asked about it, she snapped, accused me of being controlling, of never supporting her. So I stepped back. Big mistake. After she returned from that so-called wellness retreat in August, a week-long yoga getaway in Arizona, she came back, different. Not just more confident, but colder, distant. Like the woman I married had been replaced by someone wearing her face. That's when I told her to leave, though she didn't go quietly. She laughed, said I was paranoid. But I wasn't imagining the men's watch in her gym bag, the hotel receipt from Scottsdale with 2 dinners charged to the room, or the 2 a.m. text that read, "Can't wait to see you tomorrow." When I confronted her, Grace didn't deny it. She didn't even apologize. She just looked at me, eyes icy, and said, "You made me feel invisible for years, Derek. He sees me." That's when I realized the battle had been going on for months, and I'd been too blind to see it. What came next was a war I never asked for, but one I couldn't afford to lose. Not with my kids watching, not with everything at stake. Grace didn't leave that night. Instead, she drifted through our house like she owned it, while I was the intruder. The next morning, she made coffee, sat at the table scrolling through her phone, completely unfazed. When I walked in, she didn't even look up. "We need to talk," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. Grace sighed, as if I were interrupting something. "About what, Derek? Your paranoia about Cal?" That got her attention. She put her phone down, leaned back, and stared at me with those same cold eyes. "What about him?" she asked. "You're sleeping with him," I said flatly. Grace laughed, actually laughed. "You're being ridiculous." I pulled out my phone and showed her the screenshots I'd taken before she could erase them. Messages between her and Cal, planning meetups, complaining about me. One read, "He suspects nothing. We're good for Tuesday." The smile vanished from her face. "You went through my phone? That's a violation of my privacy, Derek." "Your privacy?" I kept my tone even, though anger burned inside. "You're my wife. We didn't have separate lives, not until you decided to start one without telling me." Grace stood, grabbed her coffee mug. "I'm not doing this right now," she said, heading for the stairs. "Yes, you are," I said, stepping in her way. "I'm 6'2", worked construction before management. Grace is 5'6". She stopped. "You owe me an explanation, to me and to our kids." "Don't bring the kids into this," she snapped. "This is between us. Everything we do affects them," I shot back. "Ethan's already asking questions. Claire heard us arguing last night. And Liam." I paused, taking a breath. "Liam needs stability. You know what happens when his routine's disrupted." Grace's expression softened. Our youngest was always her weakness, the one crack in her armor. "I'm not trying to hurt Liam," she said quietly. "Then stop this," I said. "Whatever's going on with Cal, we can fix it. Get counseling. Try to rebuild what's broken." For a second, I thought she might listen. Then her face hardened again. "You can't fix what was never there, Derek. We've been pretending for years. I'm done pretending." "So you'd rather blow up our family?" I asked. 25 years, 3 kids. Everything we built. For some tennis coach half your age. Grace's eyes blazed. He makes me feel alive, something you stopped doing long ago. When? I demanded. When did I stop? I've worked, paid the bills, been there for you and the kids. What exactly did I do wrong? That's the problem, Grace said, her voice rising. You don't even see it. You're so focused on being the provider, the responsible one, that you forgot how to be my husband. When's the last time we went on a date? She asked. When's the last time you looked at me like I was more than the woman who makes your dinner? Her words hit harder than I wanted to admit. Maybe there was truth buried in them, but it didn't excuse what she'd done. So instead of talking to me, you just started sleeping with someone else? I asked. Grace turned her eyes away. I needed to feel something, she whispered. That's when Ethan walked into the kitchen. Our oldest stood in the doorway, glancing between us. What's going on? He asked. Grace and I both froze. Ethan wasn't a kid anymore, 24, living on his own, but he still stopped by most mornings before work. He'd clearly caught enough of the argument to piece things together. Mom, he said, staring at her. What's Dad talking about? Grace's face softened instantly, the cold mask melting into something fragile and hurt. Your father's accusing me of things that aren't true, she said, voice trembling. He's been so stressed lately. I think he's just taking it out on me. I couldn't believe it. She was lying to our son, right to his face. That's not true, I said firmly. Ethan, your mother's been having an affair. Ethan's expression crumpled. Confusion, disbelief, pain all at once. I can't. Then he turned and walked out. Grace followed, calling after him. I stood there, alone in the kitchen, feeling the ground shift beneath me. I found Ethan in his car, sitting in the driveway with his head in his hands. I knocked on the window. He looked up, eyes red, and unlocked the door. I slid into the passenger seat. Is it true? He asked quietly. Is Mom really? Yes, I said. I wish you hadn't found out like this. He leaned back, staring at the ceiling. How long? I don't know exactly, I said. Months, maybe longer. And you're sure? He asked. You have proof. I handed him my phone, screenshots, the hotel receipt, everything. Ethan scrolled through them silently, jaw tightening with each photo. When he finished, he passed the phone back. What are you going to do? He asked. Protect this family, I said. That means you, Claire, and especially Liam. Your mother can do what she wants, but I won't let her destroy what's left. Ethan nodded slowly. Dad, there's something I should tell you. Last week, I stopped by when you were at work. Mom's car was here, but she wasn't. I thought she was at the studio, but it was closed. I didn't think much of it, but now he trailed off. Now it makes sense. I finished for him. Yeah, Ethan said. I'm sorry, I should have said something. You didn't know, I told him. But I need you now. Claire and Liam are going to need their brother. Can I count on you? Ethan met my eyes. Always, Dad. We went back inside together. Grace was in the living room, phone pressed to her ear. When she saw us, she quickly hung up. Ethan, honey, let me explain. Don't. Ethan cut her off, voice sharp. I saw the messages. Dad, show me everything. Grace's face hardened. He had no right to drag you into this. You dragged us all into it when you started cheating, Ethan snapped. I'd never heard him speak to her that way. Tears welled in Grace's eyes. You don't understand your father. I understand enough, Ethan shot back. I understand that Dad's been working himself to death for this family while you've been flirting with some guy half your age. I understand that Claire's been crying herself to sleep because of all the fights. And Liam's having meltdowns at school because his routine's wrecked. So yeah, Mom, I understand. Grace turned to me, then back to Ethan. You've turned him against me, she hissed. I didn't have to, I said quietly. You did that yourself. Grace snatched her purse and keys. I'm not staying here to be ganged up on. She stormed toward the door. Where are you going? I asked. Somewhere I'm appreciated, she said, slamming it behind her. Ethan and I stood in silence for a moment. Then he asked, She's going to him, isn't she? Probably, I said. So what now? Now, I told him. I call a lawyer. I reached out to Richard Hammond, a divorce attorney my brother had recommended years earlier. Hammond was in his 60s, with 3 decades of family law behind him, a man who'd seen everything. His office was downtown, 4th floor of an old brick building. When I arrived Tuesday morning, his secretary led me straight in. Hammond stood to greet me, tall, gray-haired, firm handshake. Derek Whitmore, Hammond said. Your brother mentioned you might call. Sit down and tell me everything. I laid it all out. The affair, the lies, the evidence I'd gathered. He listened, asked questions, took notes, but showed little emotion. When I finished, he leaned back. First, you need to know Ohio is a no-fault divorce state. That means the affair won't weigh as heavily in the divorce itself. But it does matter for custody and dividing assets, especially if we can prove she spent marital money on it. The hotel in Scottsdale was on our joint card, I said. Hammond nodded. That helps. Now, tell me about your kids, ages, needs, who the primary caregiver is. I explained Liam's autism, his need for routine, and that I'd been equally involved in his care. I can't let her take him, I said. Moving between houses would destroy him. We'll fight for primary custody, Hammond said. With Liam's condition and your wife's current instability, we have a strong case. But Derek, be warned, this will get ugly. When affairs come out, the cheating spouse often doubles down. She'll try to paint you as the villain. She's already started. I thought about how she'd lied to Ethan. Then we need to move fast, Hammond said. I'll file today. Temporary custody, freeze joint accounts, even a restraining order if needed. I don't want her completely out of the kids' lives, I said. They still need their mother. Hammond studied me. That's noble, Derek. But your priority now must be protecting yourself and your children. She's already shown she can lie and manipulate. Don't assume she won't do worse. I left with a folder full of papers and a knot in my stomach. This was real. 25 years of marriage, ending in a lawyer's office. Grace came back 3 days later, acting as if nothing had happened, cooking dinner like usual. I was in my office when Claire knocked. Dad, can we talk? My 16-year-old daughter looked small and tense, arms crossed. Always, I said, closing my laptop. What is it? Claire sat across from me. Kids at school are talking about Mom, she said softly. My chest tightened. What are they saying? They've seen her with some guy at the tennis club. Always together, holding hands, stuff like that. Her voice trembled. Sarah Peterson's mom saw them and told everyone. Now people ask if you and Mom are getting divorced. I wanted to shield her, but she deserved the truth. Your mother and I are having serious problems. I've talked to a lawyer. Tears filled her eyes. Is it because of the tennis guy? She asked. His name's Kyle, I said. Yes, that's part of it. I hate her, Claire said suddenly, wiping tears. I hate her for what she's done to us, to you, to Liam. Claire, I said gently. No, Dad. Do you know what it's like at school? Everyone whispers, stares at me. Yesterday, Brittany James asked if Mom was having a midlife crisis. I didn't know what to say. I moved beside her. I'm sorry you're going through this. None of it is your fault. It's not yours either, she said firmly. Mom's the one who messed up. Why do you get to act like everything's fine? Before I could respond, loud voices came from downstairs. Ethan and Grace arguing. Claire and I went to the top of the stairs. You have no right to be here. Ethan shouted. This is my house, Mom. Grace tried to respond, but Ethan cut her off. Dad's got a lawyer. You're going to lose everything. Ethan, please, Grace said softly. Don't, he replied, voice cold. Don't try to manipulate me. I know what you've been doing. We all know. Claire gripped my arm, trembling. This was exactly what I'd feared. Our kids in the middle, forced to take sides. I went downstairs, Claire behind me. That's enough, I said, calm but firm. Grace turned to me, tears streaming. Derek, please tell them I'm still their mother. Tell them I love them. Then act like it, I said. Act like their mother, not a woman willing to destroy her family for an affair. Grace's expression shifted from hurt to anger. You're turning them against me, she accused. I don't have to, I said. You did that yourself. Ethan saw the evidence. Claire's being bullied at school because of you. And Liam. I paused, breathing. He had a meltdown at school yesterday. His teacher called. He's regressing. You know why? Grace went pale. I need to see him. He's at therapy, I said. One I scheduled. Because you've been too busy with Kyle to notice your son falling apart at home. She looked at Ethan, then Claire, then back at me. I never wanted this, she said quietly. Then you shouldn't have done it, Claire said, her voice sharp and cold. That was my daughter, speaking to her mother. Grace grabbed her purse and left, this time without slamming the door. Friday afternoon, Hammond called. Derek, we need to meet in person. Can you come by my office? 30 minutes later, I was there. His expression was serious as he slid a stack of bank statements across the desk. "We ran a full financial audit, like I promised," he said. I picked up the first statement. It was for a bank account I had never seen. A savings account at a different bank, opened 4 years ago, Grace's name alone on it. The balance made my stomach drop, $127,000. "Where did this come from?" I asked. "Transfers from your joint checking account," Hammond said. "Small amounts at first, 500 here, 1,000 there, nothing to raise suspicion. But over 4 years, it adds up." He showed me credit card statements next. Hotels, expensive dinners, gifts, all charged to our accounts. She'd been funding the affair with marital money. Hammond said this was helpful, evidence of financial infidelity alongside the personal kind. I flipped through the papers, feeling sick. 4 years of planning, right under my nose. "There's more," Hammond said. "She withdrew $20,000 in cash from that secret account 2 weeks ago. Any idea what that was for?" I shook my head. "My guess? She's preparing to run." Hammond nodded. "We need to freeze everything today. Joint accounts, credit cards, everything." "What about her access to money?" I asked. "She'll need it." Hammond cut in. "She'll be fine, but we have to protect your assets before she drains them completely." I signed the paperwork. By 5 o'clock, all joint accounts were frozen. Sunday, I was clearing the garage for old tax documents Hammond had requested when I noticed 3 cardboard boxes tucked behind the Christmas decorations. Labeled in Grace's handwriting, Grace College. I almost left them alone, but something made me pull one down. Inside were dozens of journals, dating back to our early marriage. I knew I shouldn't read them. They were private, but I had to understand. I had to know if Grace had ever truly loved me, or if I'd been fooling myself for 25 years. I opened the most recent journal, dated 3 years ago. At first, it was ordinary. Notes about her studio, lists about the kids, grocery reminders. Then an entry from April caught my eye. "I've been thinking about leaving Derek for months, maybe years if I'm honest. I love him, I suppose, but I'm not in love with him. The kids need stability, and I need his income. The studio barely breaks even. If I leave now, I'll have nothing. So I wait. I smile. I play the good wife, and I plan." My hands shook as I turned the pages. More entries, all in the same vein. She wrote about meeting Kyle 2 years ago at a charity tennis event, how he made her feel young, alive. She detailed their first kiss, their first time together, intimate details I didn't need, but couldn't stop reading. The worst part came near the end. 6 months ago, Derek suspects something. "I think he's watching more closely, asking questions. I need to be smarter." Kyle and I agreed to be discreet. "The wellness retreat will be perfect. A week in Scottsdale. Derek thinks I'm doing yoga. I've been transferring money to my separate account for years, almost $130,000. When I leave, we'll move to California and start fresh, away from Derek's suffocating stability and the constant demands of the kids. Liam especially. I love him, but being his mother is exhausting. Sometimes I wonder what life would have been like if he were normal." I stopped reading. My vision blurred. She'd written that about our son, our boy who trusted her completely, who needed her. Rage surged through me, hot and consuming. I took the journals inside. Ethan was in the kitchen making lunch. I dropped them on the counter. "Read these," I said. "That's me. Derek, speaking to my son, Ethan." "Dad, what?" he started. I cut him off. "Just read them. Especially the last one. You need to know who your mother really is." I called Hammond immediately. "I found something. Grace's journals. She's been planning this for years. Affair, secret bank account, everything. Bring them to my office first thing tomorrow." "This is exactly what we need, Derek," Hammond said. "With this, we can push for full custody. The journals show her financial deception. And do they mention the kids?" "She called taking care of Liam exhausting," I said. Said she wondered what life would be like if he were normal." Hammond was quiet for a moment. "A judge will see that, especially considering Liam's special needs. Derek, I think we're going to win this." That night, Ethan came into my room, tears streaking his face. "I read them, Dad. All of them. How could she?" His voice cracked. "How could you say those things about Liam?" I asked, putting my arm around my son. "I don't know," I admitted. "But we will protect him. All of you. I promise." Grace discovered the journals on Tuesday. I don't know how. Maybe Ethan confronted her, or maybe she noticed they were missing from the garage. Either way, that evening, she arrived at the house with her father, Judge Howard Hawkins. I had met him perhaps 20 times in 25 years. Semi-retired, a circuit court judge, still commanding respect, 72 years old, silver-haired, imposing. "Derek," Judge Hawkins said when I opened the door, "we need to talk. May we come in?" I stepped aside. Grace followed closely, using her father as a shield, looking smaller and fragile, eyes red from crying. "I understand you've retained Richard Hammond as your attorney," Judge Hawkins began. "And you've taken certain personal items from my daughter, her journals. They were in my garage, in my house. But they remain her property," he said calmly. "I'll be frank," Judge Hawkins continued. "This has gotten out of hand. Grace made a mistake, yes, but you are escalating unnecessarily, freezing bank accounts, turning the children against her, taking her private writings." "Stealing?" I interrupted. "She stole over $100,000 from our joint account over 4 years. She used our money to fund an affair. And she wrote in those journals that she wished our son was normal. Don't lecture me about theft." Grace flinched. Judge Hawkins's expression hardened. "Those journals were private. People write things they don't mean." "She meant every word," I said firmly. "And a judge will see that. I'm not trying to protect myself. I'm protecting my family. I am trying to protect my grandchildren," Judge Hawkins said, voice rising slightly. "Derek, I am prepared to make you an offer. Drop the custody fight. Agree to joint 50-50 custody. We'll settle the finances fairly. Grace will return the money, you'll return the journals. This can end amicably." "No," I said simply. "Your daughter has lied to me for years. She planned to abandon this family. She called her autistic son exhausting and wished he were different. I will not let her harm these children any further." Judge Hawkins stood. "Then you leave me no choice. I have connections, family court judges, colleagues. They will respect my opinion. You're an engineer. I'm a retired judge with 40 years of experience. Who do you think they'll believe?" "The one with evidence," I said, meeting his gaze. Grace spoke, desperate. "Derek, please. I never meant the journals. I was venting. I love my kids. I love Liam. You have to believe me." "That's Grace speaking to me," I said. "I don't have to believe anything. After 25 years of lies, I'm done." Judge Hawkins moved toward the door. "You're making a mistake. This will get very ugly." "It already is," I said. "You just didn't notice until your daughter started losing." They left. I locked the door, heart pounding. I had just declared war on a judge, and I meant every word. The custody hearing was set for a Thursday morning in late November. I wore my best suit and arrived early with Hammond. The courthouse was old, smelling of floor polish and paper. Grace was already there with her attorney, a sharp-looking woman in her 50s recommended by Judge Hawkins. We sat on opposite sides of the courtroom. Grace wouldn't look at me. She had lost weight and looked exhausted. Part of me felt pity, but the other part remembered what she had written about Liam. The judge, Patricia Reynolds, mid-60s, with a reputation for fairness and toughness, reviewed the case file for several minutes before looking up. "This is a custody hearing regarding 3 minor children," Judge Reynolds began. "Although the oldest, Ethan, is 24 and not subject to custody, we are here to determine custody of Claire, 16, and Liam, 11. Let's proceed." Grace's attorney went first, portraying her as a loving mother who had made a mistake but deserved forgiveness. She spoke about Grace's yoga studio, her role in the children's lives, and her regret over the affair. Then Hammond presented our case. Methodical and precise, he displayed bank statements showing Grace had taken over $100,000, hotel receipts proving the affair had lasted at least 2 years, and then the journals. "Your Honor, I'd like to submit diary entries by Mrs. Whitmore as evidence," Hammond said. Grace's attorney objected, claiming they were private. Hammond countered. They were relevant to her fitness as a parent. Judge Reynolds allowed it. Hammond read selected passages aloud. The courtroom fell silent as Grace's own words condemned her. When he reached the entries about Liam, wishing he were normal, even she flinched. "I'd also like to call Ethan Whitmore to the stand," Hammond continued. Ethan walked up, glanced at his mother once, then away. "Ethan, can you describe your mother's behavior over the last 6 months?" Hammond asked. "She's been distant," Ethan testified. "Often gone. When she was home, she was distracted, always on her phone. Claire and Liam noticed. Claire asked if Mom still loved us. And Liam? Hammond pressed. He's been having meltdowns at school. His teacher called Dad multiple times. Mom didn't notice, too busy with tennis lessons. Grace's attorney tried to portray Ethan as biased, but he remained firm. Afterwards, I testified about discovering the evidence, Grace's lies, and Liam's regression. I stayed calm, sticking to facts. When Grace's attorney accused me of being vindictive, I addressed the judge directly. Your Honor, I do not seek to punish Grace. I seek to protect my children. Liam needs stability and routine. Claire needs a parent she can trust. Both need to know that at least one parent puts them first. Judge Reynolds took a 2-hour recess. Upon returning, she announced her decision. I've reviewed all the evidence. Mrs. Whitmore, your actions show deception and prioritizing personal desires over your children. Mr. Whitmore, you have shown stability and commitment. Primary physical custody is granted to Mr. Whitmore. Mrs. Whitmore, you will have supervised visitation every other weekend to be reassessed in 6 months. Grace cried, her attorney comforting her. Relief washed over me. Outside the courthouse, Ethan hugged me. You did it, Dad, he said. We did it, I corrected, smiling. 3 months later, life had found a new rhythm. Claire thrived at school. The bullying had stopped. Liam's meltdowns decreased as his routine stabilized. Ethan visited most evenings to help with dinner or hang out. Grace had moved in with Kyle, but according to Ethan, things weren't going well. Kyle was younger and less mature than she expected. One Saturday morning, I was making breakfast when Liam came downstairs. He sat at the table, watching me cook pancakes. Dad, he asked. Yeah, buddy. I replied, flipping pancakes. Is Mom ever coming back? I turned off the stove, sat next to him. Not to live here, I said. But you'll still see her. She's still your mom. I know, Liam said. But it's better here with you. Everything's the same. I like it. Me too, buddy, I said, ruffling his hair. That afternoon, all 3 kids and I went to the park. Claire brought a friend, Ethan his girlfriend, Liam his tablet. He contentedly watched videos while we walked around the lake. You doing okay, Dad? Claire asked, linking her arm through mine. I'm getting there, I said. Some days are harder than others, but we're going to be fine. Better than fine, Claire said. We've got each other. She was right. Grace had tried to destroy our family, but in reality, she revealed what truly mattered. Being present, telling the truth, and standing together. I had lost my wife, but gained something far more valuable, my children's respect and the knowledge that I fought for them when it mattered most. As we walked back to the car, my phone buzzed. A text from Hammond, final divorce decree signed. House and primary assets awarded to you. Congratulations, Derek. I looked at my children, laughing at something Ethan said, and felt a peace I hadn't known in months.